What's up everyone, welcome back here at the Neon Pavilion. My name is Nicholas and today we are talking a little bit about Sweden's new talent competition for children, which is called Hello Mello. I don't know how many of you actually know that this is going to be a thing, but it was announced at the end, or at least towards the end of the Melodifestivalen final this year. I've seen a few people talking about it, but I haven't seen a lot, and we actually do have some new information, which I don't think a lot of people have noticed. So I thought, let's make a video, let's chat a little bit about it, maybe you'll learn something new. Back at the Melodifestivalen final, we were told about the Hello Mello show for the first time, but we didn't really learn a lot other than the fact that casting would be open for kids ages 13 to 15 and that it would be a new sort of music competition for kids. Now, of course, this isn't the first time that SVT is doing a kid edition of the Melodifestivalen. I have a whole video on this channel talking about the history of MGP Nordic, and if you've seen that video, you will know that the idea of a kids song contest similar to the Eurovision Song Contest or the national finals began in Denmark back in 2000, and when 2002 came around, the product in Denmark had become such a success that the Nordic countries wanted to take part of it. So the Lilla Melodifestivalen in Sweden was born there back in 2002. The show lasted between 2002 to 2009, held a couple years break and then returned from 2012 up until 2014. But ever since then we haven't seen a kid version of the Melodifestivalen, but now it seems that we're getting it once more, which obviously begs the question, what I've seen most people talking about if they have talked about Hello Mello, and that is, of course, is this a pre-selection for Junior Eurovision? Will Sweden return to JESC this year? Probably not. Sorry to burst anyone's hopes and dreams here, but probably not. There are a few things that indicates that this will just be its own standalone thing. First of all, the age range, like I already mentioned, it's between 13 to 15, and obviously the age range in Junior Eurovision, that is between 9 and 14, so it would mean that if the winner of Hello Mello would go on to be a 15-year-old, well, then they wouldn't be able to participate. Of course, you don't necessarily have to pick the winner. We have seen in other countries that shows like this, or shows like The Voice Kids, for example, are kinda used as a pre-selection for Junior Eurovision, but isn't officially a pre-selection. We saw it in Portugal a few years ago, for example, that the winner was 15, so it ended up with second place in The Voice Kids going on to Junior Eurovision. So just the fact that the age range is between 13 to 15 doesn't necessarily rule it out for Junior Eurovision, but there is a but. One of the things that we do know now about Hello Mello is that the premiere of the show will be on the 27th of October. And with Junior Eurovision being in November, of course, that means that it'll be far too late at that point to choose a representative. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and rule out Junior Eurovision for Sweden entirely. They are the Scandinavian country who has participated the most times in Junior Eurovision. Eurovision itself is huge in Sweden, so I'm not gonna rule it out. If the show ends up becoming a success, maybe somewhere down the line this could become a pre-selection for Junior Eurovision. The rules could be tweaked a little bit, of course, so I'm not ruling it out. I don't think it's gonna happen this year, but maybe it'll happen in the future. So likely not for Junior Eurovision this year, but I wanted to mention it here in the beginning because I knew some people in the comments would ask if I didn't bring it up. But now that we have that out of the way, what do we know so far about Hello Mello? Well, there isn't a lot that's been released so far, but SVT have given a few hints and a small trailer on SVT Play that gives us an idea of what Hello Mello is going to be. So far, we know that the auditions have already been held. They state that over 1,500 kids have applied for it, which I would say that's quite a big deal, even for something like MGP, the Kids Song Contest in Denmark. We usually don't get that many kids applying for it, so that clearly shows that there is an interest, especially because the age gap is so small. It's between 13 to 15, so having over 1,500 participants that goes to that audition and wants to take part, I think that's pretty great. 60 children went on to the auditions at the SVT studio, and in the end, 25 acts have been chosen. Now, it says 25 talents, but it also mentions somewhere on the SVT website that there will be both solo acts, duo acts, and groups. So I'm not sure if we're talking about 25 acts or 25 participants. I guess only time will tell. We will have 5 semifinals and 1 final, very similar to the style of show that we saw at Melodifestivalen this year. And something that also does set the show apart from something like The Voice Kids, for example, is that all the songs in this show will be original compositions. But like we see in most shows and like we see in Junior Eurovision as well these days, the songs have not been composed by the children, but instead SVT claim that they are written by some of the best songwriters in Sweden. And of course, that is a huge shame for someone like PBS, the Maltese broadcaster, because there goes all the Mello rejects that they were going to use for their national final next year. While it hasn't been stated yet if the show is going to be live, I would assume it's going to be. It's already mentioned that the public will choose the winner, which I imagine means that we won't have a jury in it. Maybe we will, we'll see. And the final thing we know is the fact that it will be the Mello app that is being used for the voting. And in general, it does feel like that they are really trying to do a smaller edition of Melodifestivalen. We don't know yet if it's going to be in SVT Studios or if they're going to go on a tour or if they're just going to be in one arena for all the shows, but I imagine we'll know more about that once we get closer to the competition. Hello, it's Niklas from the future here. I was just about to go edit this video, but there was an article that was released this morning, like 5 hours ago or something, on Aftonbladet, which is a Swedish tabloid, which gives us a little bit more information about Hello Mello. First of all, we now know that Malin Olsson and Erik Saade will be the host of the contest. Erik, of course, needs no introduction. He has been in Melodifestivalen plenty of times, and he represented Sweden at Eurovision back in 2011 with Popular. Malin, on the other hand, is probably not very known within the Eurovision community, but she is known within the Swedish young viewers as she is a presenter on a popular Swedish kids television program called Sommarlov. And finally, what this article also reveals is that the prize of sorts for winning Hello Mello is that you get to perform your song in the grown-ups Melodifestivalen as an interval act in the final next year. So I think that's pretty exciting for any young artist to be able to do, at least. So there's a little bit more information there. We also don't know yet who is going to participate. We see a few kids in the trailer, but obviously we don't know if those are actually part of the final lineup, and we also don't know when we are gonna get the final lineup. But I would imagine that we're gonna get them sometime at the end of September. That's my guess, at least. So all in all, from my perspective at least, it looks like Hello Mello is going to be a pretty spectacular and pretty ambitious show. Unlike Lilla Melodifestivalen, which often just felt like something that SVT would not spend the amount of love and care for as they do for Melodifestivalen, what we've seen so far with Hello Mello, it looks like they are taking it very seriously. Just the fact that they're doing semifinals for this show, something they never did for Lilla Melodifestivalen, that to me says that the budget is definitely higher than they've had before, and it doesn't feel like that this is just gonna be something that they put on their children's channel. It does feel like it's something that they are going to put on SVT1. We don't know yet, but I imagine they're going to. It's also not gonna be exactly in prime time. They're gonna do it on Sundays instead of Saturdays, but it's close enough. All these things that I'm reading at the moment, at least, and the fact that it seems like they are going to be using a lot of the same songwriters that we have at the Melodifestivalen, that to me says that we're truly going to get a mini Mello. If you don't know a lot about the history of Lilla Melodifestivalen or MGP Nordic or whatever, you may not know this, but Lilla Melodifestivalen was never that big of a success in Sweden. Unlike Denmark and Norway, where a lot of the songs, a lot of the old songs from MGP and MGP Junior are remembered by adults, sort of become cult classics almost, and the shows still being something that a lot of children watch, at least here in Denmark. It has been put on hold in Norway, but for many years it was still a big thing. It was still a big cultural thing for kids and young adults. Lilla Melodifestivalen was never really that, and the songs, at least from what I know, aren't as well remembered. It felt like that towards the end of the Lilla Melodifestivalen's live, they didn't really take it that seriously. The final show of the live show era, that was only being broadcasted on their children's television network. That wasn't being put on the main SVT1. And when they returned to Junior Eurovision and did Lilla Melodifestivalen in 12, 13 and 14, they did it in an amusement park and didn't broadcast it until like, I think a week or so before Junior Eurovision. And they ended, of course, withdrawing from Junior Eurovision in 2015, citing low viewership as one of the reasons. And it's funny, right? Sweden is definitely the most Eurovision mad country here in the Nordics, but despite that, the kids song contest, the engagement there was just never there. There are a lot of children watching Melodifestivalen, of course, and we know that because they have that whole like age voting system where kids as young as 3 are able to take part in the Mello app and vote. So there's definitely a kid audience in Melodifestivalen, but for some reason that just never translated into Lilla Melodifestivalen. Now they're trying to do something different, something new, and they're maybe trying to take it a little bit more seriously because they've chosen a older age range. It's worth noting here also, by the way, that this is technically not the first time they've done so. When they went back and did Lilla Melodifestivalen for those 3 years, they did actually change the age so that it was between 12 and 15. But let's be real, 2014, that's 10 years ago now. A lot has changed. And maybe that means that it is time to experiment and try to do a Lilla Mello again. As a fan of these junior competitions, of course I hope that the show will succeed, and I do think it has a greater chance of succeeding, especially if they do take the kid performers seriously. Let's hope that it works, let's hope that it brings in viewers, and maybe if Hello Mello does become a success and we see a second and third season of it, maybe eventually we can start to dream about Junior Eurovision, maybe we can start to dream about a Swedish return to that contest. And I do think if just 1 or 2 of the Nordic countries return to the contest, maybe more will follow. I'm usually one of the more pessimistic when it comes to Nordic countries, Scandinavian countries returning to Junior Eurovision. I still am, but I think it's nice to dream, and I think it'll be very interesting to follow Hello Mello and see if it becomes a success and see if it's a format that would work as a pre-selection for Junior Eurovision. I will definitely be following the contest, and I do think I'll make some more videos about it where we can talk about the format and all. If you want more content about Hello Mello, at least, let me know down in the comments. But for now, that is all the information we have. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you learned something new here. Let me also know if you knew about Hello Mello already and if you're excited if you're going to be watching. Thank you for watching this Neon Pavilion video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and then I'll hopefully see you guys very soon. Take care.